Dwight Yoakam rose to fame by defying the norms and refusing to conform, but then he vanished. What happened to this beloved country artist? Dwight was a favorite among country fans, known for returning the genre to its roots while his contemporaries were creating sweet ballads and pop crossover songs. In 1987, he surprised Buck Owens by dropping by his office unannounced and persuading him to record a song. The Streets of Bakersfield became a huge success despite Buck not having a hit in years. Then, out of nowhere, Dwight disappeared from the music scene. He briefly reappeared for Buck Owens' funeral in 2006, but he seemed like a completely different person. What happened to Dwight Yoakam? Why did he vanish? Who was his mysterious girlfriend from the 90s? And most importantly, what is he doing now? Let's uncover the story of the man who tried to challenge the country music industry but seemingly lost the battle. Too real for the industry. In country music, the normal career trajectory is as follows. After gaining experience performing in bars, the singer moves to Nashville to play sessions for a number of years until they ultimately get a major contract. But Dwight Yoakam played it differently, and the music business would never forgive him. You can tell that Dwight learned early on that Nashville was a scam city from his experiences there. When he first arrived, everyone thought he was trying to get a record contract from his native Ohio, but it was a complete fabrication. Rather than deal with stuffy corporate officials, he opted to go to Los Angeles, a place where country and punk music coexist. Dwight instead chose to put out album after album of raw, honky-tonk music rather than pop songs, guitars, Cadillacs, and other makes and models to kick things off. Finally, there was A Lonely Room's Buenas Noches, which was the deciding factor. Throughout the whole process, Dwight consistently attacked Nashville from a distance. Even before Columbia Records released Johnny Cash, he had harsh words for the label. He went on to argue that MTV was wrong to imply that it will not show country music videos. She told him he needed to stop calling himself a hillbilly once he signed with Warner Music Nashville's Nashville label. They thought the name was disrespectful to those who work in the music business, but Dwight kept stubbornly refusing to budge for as long as he could. Also, for a while there, it seemed like he was winning. After that, however, he started to stall. Both his record sales and the level of respect he received from the establishment were declining. On the other hand, by 1995, it seemed like he was losing the battle against the Nashville machine. During his existence, Dwight disappeared without a trace, therefore he did not leave behind a legacy. The public paid almost little attention to the songs he did release. This is why Dwight chose an unorthodox route to follow his abilities. Where did Dwight disappear? Dwight Yoakam's whereabouts are an open mystery. He was completely focused on the TV. It seems that in this day and age, every musician dreams of becoming an actor, and every actor dreams of being a musician. Even while some individuals manage to make that transition, the vast majority of people fail miserably. Did Dwight possess the necessary qualities to become a successful actor in Hollywood? In his early acting roles, Dwight had little parts in criminal dramas, but his career took off as time progressed. Billy Bob Thornton directed the picture Sling Blade, in which he had a significant role. Sure thing. I specifically instructed you to get out of here right now. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk tards and C asterisk, asterisk, asterisk suckers are also part of this group. Director Richard Linklater also has a film out called The Newton Boys with Sheryl Crow. He participated in the film The Minus Man. If you can believe it, Dwight was a tremendously successful guy. Roll the dice, please. His musical persona is always endearing, but his reputation for portraying charming and evil villains is very different. As a member of the Sling Blade Ensemble, he was recognized with a Screen Actors Guild Award. After that, however, Dwight began to formulate some thoughts. It was insufficient to only have a reputation in the film business. He planned his way to the top because he wanted to be in control. Besides writing and directing his own Western, he would also star in it. Not only that, but he would also compose the music. Everything seems to be going swimmingly at the moment. Conversely, it reveals that a substantial amount. Dwight was faced with decisions when the film's sponsor decided to pull out of the project just before filming started. He might have decided to forego funding his passion project or paid for it himself. It was expensive for Dwight, but he gritted his teeth and coughed up the cash. His Malibu mansion had to go because of this. Another thing is that things kept getting worse. Money was tighter than Dwight had imagined when he went to pay people. In addition, his production firm went bankrupt in no time. It came to light that he was sued by half of the cast. Due of his substantial debt, Dwight was forced to part ways with most of his backing band. This group of people had been there for him during his whole career, if you will. I can say with absolute certainty that the film was a huge hit. Without a doubt, no. Both the commercial and critical worlds were rocked by it. Dwight continued to be well known for his acting chops, even as he spent years working to settle his debts. What he was up to throughout that time piqued my interest. First of all, he had a lot of problems since he was trying to find love. Yoakum also pursued acting. Yoakum has had a prolific acting career, appearing in several films and TV episodes. The 1991 CBS crime drama P.S. I Love You included him in a recurrent role. He was really young when he played this part. Another 1993 release in which he appeared was Red Rock West. In the 1996 film Sling Blade, directed by actor Billy Bob Thornton, Yoakum played the part of Doyle Hargraves. According to Yoakum's 2016 statement on the website Country Daily, Sling Blade was the first job in his acting career that he thought would have a lasting impression. It was proposed that Yoakum play the part by his managers. Yoakum and the rest of the ensemble were honored with a 1997 Oscar for Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Motion Picture. Nominees for the prize included Yoakum. For the 1998 release of Richard Linklater's The Newton Boys, he was a supporting actor. At these several locations around Austin, Texas, he composed the bulk of the music that would later appear on his album A Long Way Home. The Minus Man, a 1999 thriller film, had cameos by Yoakum and Sheryl Crow. He co-wrote, directed, and starred in The Western South of Heaven, West of Hell the next year. Also, he wrote the score for a film of the same name. The film was a financial disaster from start to finish, therefore several of the crew members sued Yoakum in small claims court. Yoakum also cut ties with Pete Anderson in 2002 to compensate for the financial setbacks caused by the film by removing him from his touring band. The soundtrack had portions of cinematic dialogue in between tracks, which AllMusic writer Zach Johnson disliked, even if he loved the songs and that they included contributors like Becca Bramlett, Mick Jagger, and Billy Gibbons. Paul Yoakum had an appearance in David Fincher's 2002 picture Panic Room. Due to the fact that both parts were fragmented and needed repetition of performance, he told the Associated Press before the film's debut that he didn't see acting as much different from recording music. In 2005 and 2006, he had cameos in a number of films including Wedding Crashers, The Three Burials of Melquiades Estrada, and Banditas. Under the Dome is a science fiction series that Yoakum was a part of for 2 seasons. The show premiered on CBS in 2014. In addition, he reconnected with Thornton for the first season of Amazon Prime Video's original series, Goliath, The Sound and Inspirations of Dwight Yoakam. There is a vast variety of influences inside and outside of country music that Yoakum's approach reflects. The Bakersfield sound, country rock, rockabilly, honky-tonk, and neo-traditional country are among the musical styles that have impacted this genre. The honky-tonk country music of Buck Owens and Lefty Frizzle, and a distinct antipathy toward the Nashville pop country scene, were cited by Colin Larkin in the Virgin Encyclopedia of Country Music as influences on Yoakum's music. Dwight Yoakam helped return country music to its roots in the late 80s with his stripped-down approach to traditional honky-tonk and Bakersfield country, remarked Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic. He was a significant contributor to the revival of country music. Erlewine also said that those interested in rock and roll and roots rock records made up the bulk of Yoakum's fan base. The work of Pete Anderson on electric guitar was likened by Tom Jurek of AllMusic to that of Don Rich, a member of the Buckaroos, Brad Owen's backup band. Jurek also thought that Pete Anderson's electric guitar work contributed significantly to his sound. The heavy use of electric guitar and Hammond organ, in Jurek's view, were clear indications of Yokum's rock inspirations. Here we see the word fragmented that describes Yokum's approach to songwriting. According to his interview with American songwriters Al Caudell, the usual procedure for him while creating songs is to think of a melody and then choose the mood he wants to portray. Once he had gathered enough information, he said he would create a thesis for the song. He went on to say that he didn't like writing in a linear fashion since he was afraid it would leave him feeling creatively drained if he tried to create a whole song in one sitting. Along with it, he said that the bluegrass music he listened to as a kid had a major impact on his songwriting style. The irony that's always been a part of bluegrass in that it sets melodic, lilting melodies and upbeat tempos with the most tragic lyrics, he said, was something he really appreciated. This comment was made during an interview with a songwriter from the United States. The popularity of Yoakum goes beyond conventional country music, according to Cindy Holzel of Gavin Report. In the year 1993, she said his records sold across the board to middle-aged Stonewall Jackson fans and to young punk rockers who'd seen Dwight do his thing in L.A., opening shows for Los Lobos and the Violent Femmes. Richard Crumlin wrote on Yoakum in the Los Angeles Times, describing him as a brooding, intensely private figure driven by restless ambition and an edgy intellectuality more commonly found in rock stars. I found out early that one of the ways I was able to make contact was through musical expression, Yoakum said in the same piece. The occurrence of musical expression was what Yoakum was alluding to. To be absolutely dissection analytical is my nature. He said, "The songwriting, on the other hand, requires me to leave it in a location that is not." Interview with Gavin Report, 1993. According to Al Caudell of American Songwriter, Yoakum was characterized as a bluntly outspoken advocate of hardcore honky-tonk music. The Nashville music business looked down on Yoakum when he was just starting out because he was so critical of country music. The demotion of Johnny Cash by Columbia Records and the refusal of MTV to run videos using country music were among the things he criticized. I learned a couple albums in that my opinions and observations on the industry were not pertinent to what I needed to do as an artist. So I just really began to focus solely on what I was doing at the time. He added thereafter, in response to these claims. The clothes that Dwight Yoakam usually wears while performing also help shape his musical image. His continued use of the classic Stetson hat is reminiscent of artists like Don Williams, according to Colin Larkin of the Virgin Encyclopedia of Country Music. According to Alana Nash, who reviewed If There Was a Way, the California cowboy's authenticity was first cast into doubt when he debuted with his hip retro style, concha-studded pants, and music that occasionally flirted with rock and roll. His third album, Buenas Noches from a Lonely Room, made the conclusion quite clear. A classic murder narrative reminisces about the pride, sorrow, treachery, and revenge that are hallmarks of hillbilly history in the album's main song cycle. According to American songwriters Al Caudell, ripped jeans were a typical sight for Yoakum. According to Daryl Smyers of the Dallas Observer, Yoakum was championed by a surprising mix of punks, rockabilly hounds, and hardcore honky-tonkers. Yoakum borrowed heavily from the styling of the Flying Burrito Brothers and was famous for his enormous hats. Leonard Running of the Rapid City Journal used the phrase plaintive, yodel-edged voice to characterize Yoakum's singing approach. His voice is pure and sweet, but a precise tool, was the comment made in an unattributed review of Gone in No Depression. The rare occasion when it really creates an emotional effect is in the show Try Not to Look So Pretty, among many others. Reporter J.D. Considine of the Baltimore Sun characterized Yoakum's singing voice as possessing a sweetly nasal tenor with a high, lonesome twang. The editors of the Encyclopedia of Country Music came to a similar conclusion, stating that Yoakam has a twangy tenor, simply too spellbinding for country radio to ignore. Also, these editors thought that Yoakam had a greater chance of breaking into mainstream country than his peers, such Steve Earle and Lyle Lovett, since mainstream country has found it easier to digest distorted guitars than ironic lyrics. Unlucky in love. When we think of our favorite artists, we immediately think of the music they put out. They also have a life outside of the spotlight, and this shows how seriously they take that reality. Not only was Dwight suffering with the simultaneous rejection from both Nashville and Hollywood, but he was also dealing with some very personal issues. Here we have Dwight, stuck between two distinct cultures. His music was too rock and roll for Nashville and too country for Hollywood. Would this explain why he was having trouble with the ladies? Here we'll discover. Where is Dwight Yoakam now? A lot of individuals would totally quit music if they were in his shoes. Because of his immense success in Hollywood, Dwight did not need music to be successful. Someone like that doesn't function that way. After years of commercial failure, Dwight finally made a triumphant return in 2012. The record he put out is called 3 Pairs. His output of consistently high-quality albums has persisted since then. This is common knowledge. The evolution of the music business has made it so that everyone can be a pop hit creator. I think there's more opportunity than ever before for genuine musicians like Dwight Yoakam to reach a small but passionate following. Still, it's not completely novel. Fans were surprised to hear that Dwight got married not long ago. The response is negative for a celebrity or model, a young woman known as Emily Joyce, who is ordinary and uninteresting. It would seem that Dwight has learned his lesson about courting megastars. My guess is that if they had known more about Emily, they would have been more interested in her work as a photographer, the only thing we know about her. The two passionate lovers had been secretly dating since 2010, but no one knew about their connection. It wasn't until 2020 that they finally decided to tie the knot after all that waiting. Nevertheless, one little problem did exist. The lockdown restrictions stipulated that no more than 10 individuals might be present. Having said that, I do not think Dwight meant any harm. It's plausible that he would have preferred that outcome. They announced their pregnancy with a son, Dalton, only a few months after being married. Dwight will not allow his advanced age, he was 63 years old, to slow him down. I have some bad news to tell you right now. No, Dwight does not belong in the Country Music Hall of Fame. I don't know what's going on. As far as anybody can tell, Nashville still hasn't forgiven him for turning down their requests. In contrast, Dwight is not the kind to hold grudges. Aside from his music, he is also involved in acting and has a brand new family. Everything Dwight Yoakam needs to occupy a whole day is right here. Along with it, he is also an entrepreneur. He owns and maintains a national brand of frozen foods called Bakersfield Biscuits. Dwight faced legal troubles. His longtime musician and producer friend Pete Anderson sued him in 2004, claiming that he had broken an informal agreement by skipping several concerts in mid-2002. Based on the claims stated in the complaint, Anderson lost almost $44,000 due to Yoakam not showing up for these engagements. Yoakam said that part of the financial issues that developed from these performances were caused by money that was lost due to the commercial failure of South of Heaven, West of Hell, and he and Anderson settled their lawsuit out of court. Anderson claims that the money problem is the main reason why Yoakam didn't want him around anymore, and the partnership between the two artists ended. While Anderson would not rule out future collaborations with Yoakam, he did say that he continued to respect Yoakam's creative ability in a 2011 interview with Style Weekly. In 2021, when his contract with Warner Music expired, the record company withdrew several of Yoakam's songs from streaming sites. In response, Yoakam sued the firm. According to his argument, the record company was denying him the chance to regain ownership of the songs. Following a settlement of the dispute in February 2022, the songs were again made accessible on streaming services. Dwight Yoakam has a legion of fans, right? Here is your favorite album of his, along with his top song. Is this person a live performer? Is he an accomplished actor in your opinion? Please subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you liked our in-depth look into Dwight Yoakam's life.